Hey, what's up, hackers? I'm Troy with Hacker Warehouse TV, coming to you from a remote subterranean bunker deep in the heart of Cheyenne Mountain, hopefully where the COVID-19 can't get us. We hope that all of you are having fun at DEF CON Safe Mode. And we're so grateful that the community was able to mobilize this virtual event so effectively. And I, for one, just can't wait to get on the Discord server and see everything it has to offer. Now, beyond the official badge, more than a dozen other makers have created electronic badges and shitty add-ons this year, showing that even a global pandemic isn't enough to slow the momentum of this relatively new and rapidly growing subculture within our community. The rise in popularity of custom badges can largely be linked to the success of our guest today, Anon XOR, whose Bender badge stole the show back at DC24 and inspired many others to join the hobby. Since then, Anon XOR has been one-upping themselves every year, and pandemic or not, DC28 is no exception. Though the badge has been kept under lock and key, we got our first glimpse of this new creation a couple of weeks ago via live stream, and it doesn't disappoint. In a surprising move, the group has decided to give the badges away at no monetary cost, and have apparently set up a participation-based mechanism to distribute this rare treasure. Anyhow, let's go ahead and cut to our guest for a conversation about hacking during COVID, DEF CON Safe Mode, and of course, a hands-on with their new badge. Well, hey, it's really nice to see everyone again. It has been forever. So, if everybody wanted to introduce themselves real quick, that'd be awesome. Maybe starting with you, Hiram.
Hey there, I'm Hiram. I work in security, and more importantly, I work in XOR. And I punch buttons and make firmware at times, and break it a lot.
Zapp, you want to go?
Yeah, sorry, I'm Zapp. I do a lot of firmware and hardware development. I write the bugs in the firmware for Hiram to find. And in my day job, I look at PowerPoints all day and talk on the phone.
Feel you.
I'm Bender. I also work in XOR. In my free time, I work in tech, making things charge. Yeah.
I'm Fancy. I work at keeping XOR group well supplied with a varied of assortments and gifts as their at their request. Mainly Fancy Boats, which is a special cocktail that we've created. In my other life, I work mainly contracts and finance.
Nice. And I'm Troy. So we met a couple of years ago through Hacker Warehouse. I host a YouTube channel. I do this sort of stuff for them, and during my daytime, I connect things. I'm an RF engineer, so I do a lot of wireless stuff. So we'll leave it at that. But hey, it's just awesome to see you guys again. Just want to see kind of what you guys have been up to. I mean, we haven't talked for like 2 years. Have you been working on this badge this whole time, or when did the new badge that's coming out? Maybe when did that start? Like usually, I think last time you said it was like a year in advance. You guys get together and start talking about it.
I think this one started 15 months ago. So
Wow.
probably some initial ideas we put on paper in May of last year.
Yeah, I mean, to like echo that, like, you know, we are in the midst of, you know, DEF CON Safe Mode right now, and when we did our, you know, what we call the solder party, which has kind of transformed into like the assembly party. That's the final like kitting and packaging of the badge before we ship it out to our philanthropists and backers. We're already kind of brainstorming ideas for next year, so it definitely overlaps.
Wow. And have you been following like the virtual con as it's been getting put together? Because I feel like there's been a lot of effort into the convention this year just to make this whole thing virtual, and it seemed like it happened like really fast. Have you been prepping for it to be virtual as long as everyone, or did you guys get a heads up at all, or?
You know, based on how the year has gone, I think definitely around April timeframe is when we started having the conversations of, oh shit, this is probably going to get canceled. You know, no one knew yet, but we kind of like started looking around at what's going on with other conferences and whatnot. And so it started with a little bit of, okay, contingency planning. What if, what if that con is actually canceled? What do we do? And plan B started ramping up more and more in relation to, okay, we're used to like being in the social atmosphere, having comms, how do we do things, and kind of changing course a little more than 4 or 5 months back, thinking like maybe it goes this way, maybe it doesn't, but let's plan for the worst.
Yeah, like it seemed like how many months ago did you guys have to split? In April? Like you said about in April, you were thinking like, hey, this is going to go virtual. So how different is the new plan from the old plan? Did you always plan this whole community type badge interaction, or is that because of the virtual?
I'd say we always, even the past few years, we always have like some kind of social interacting, some kind of social aspect, and more often than not, we've done it with Bluetooth. Um, Even last year, like we were doing mesh Bluetooth to try to get them to communicate, and people were getting together to play the CTFs. But that was a driving factor when we started realizing, well, there's no reason to have a Bluetooth radio on the badge or that kind of peripheral. Let's drop it, and we kind of reused one of our systems so that people could have this kind of friend code system to make friends with each other and share. And right now we have a Slack channel going on. So while they're playing the CTF, they can out of band make friends with one another, unlock challenges, because not all the capture the flag challenges are unlocked. They have to actually socialize, which obviously they can't do in person. So it kind of started with yank out the radio and how do we turn this into more of an out of band comms kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool. That's
also
cool.
I think one thing that definitely like shifted our planning was once we kind of had that thought process of like, if this gets canceled, what are we going to change? Zapp and Hiron were like, holy shit, we need to start looking at like what parts do we need in the future that we have to order right now, specifically if it's coming from overseas. Like there's going to potentially be some sort of, if you can't fly to China or somewhere else, like then how are we going to get parts from there in the first place? And so that was kind of a panic moment as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I got the credit card out and just started buying parts.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be fair, like we'll usually have like our near final prototype around January, February, and then we focus on firmware from there. So we kind of had an idea of our bomb, and then it just kind of hit where it's like, you know what, we need to just buy reels now, get things here, because you started noticing like if you're trying to go on DigiKey or Mouse or other places, you would see components just back ordered and had to scrape some stuff together.
Yeah, that's funny because that was a conversation I remember having back around that time frame, even on a debate of like, no, I don't think global supply chains for electronics will be that impacted. And then like 3 weeks to go by, they're like, maybe it is going to happen. And then we saw it all happen. Oh, that's pretty interesting. So you guys went ahead and pulled the cord and got all the parts you needed way ahead of time.
Yeah, so the battery holders, I bought every battery holder that was available domestically, and then had to go on AliExpress. Looked kind of the same and were the same. And
did you tweet about that?
What's that?
I feel like I remember someone tweeting that they bought like every battery holder.
That was probably us. We've done that. A couple years ago, we actually had our own custom parts made. So every year it seems like we have something that's incredibly hard to get our hands on. But
yes, we're the sole owners of all the United States AAA surface mount battery holders.
Part-time part brokers.
Yeah.
I have
Cool.
100 here if you want some.
You got 100?
100,000. We only talk in orders of magnitude of thousands.
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about the con itself. So you mentioned CTFs. is all your time consumed by the badge, or are you taking part in any of the talks or any of the CTFs? Do you have time for any of that?
Historically, I would say no. However, previous DEF CON, I think we all kind of collectively agreed that that was one of our more enjoyable DEF CONs, just by the nature of the pre-sale that we did from like the backers, and then giving away the remaining badges at DEF CON gave us a lot more free time, because we do have fun, doing the challenges and giveaways, like random drops in like the middle of Caesar's Pool or something. But that just takes up a lot of our time, and we've kind of missed out on being able to join other villages or other talks that we did when we first started coming. So you guys can kind of correct me if you thought differently, but I think the last con was much more enjoyable. We actually got to go and see a lot more things within DEF CON.
Yeah, I think having to sling them at the con and find interesting places to sell them is a burden. At the same time, while you're selling to all your customers, you also have to support them. And if you're handing out 100, 200, 300 of these for free, and it breaks, hey, fix it yourself, right? You didn't pay for it. You're not, not to be rude or anything, but there's a little bit more of that hacker mentality there. There's also no exchange of money, so the transaction is, here's a badge, have fun with it. So we had a lot more fun getting people to say silly things, or do funny things, or just reward them for doing good hacker things, winning a contest or whatnot.
Yeah.
And even when they break, I look at it like, hey, there's your opportunity, where people are like, well, I've never soldered. I'm like, well, this is a great time to learn how to use a soldering iron. Let's go figure it out. Learn to fish.
And it's funny, we were talking about this the other day, where like the value you hold for something becomes higher the cheaper it is. If that makes sense. So, if they bought the badge for $2,000 and something breaks, you go, oh man. But if it's given to you as a gift, you cherish it, and when something breaks on, you're like, oh, I'm happy to fix it. I got it for free. It's really cool. So it's funny how that dynamic works. Yeah.
Yeah. Often at the end of the con, we'll have, obviously there's fails that we can't really avoid, and we'll just swap them out, and then have these extra ones that we either fix or we maybe don't get around to it. And then you just go to like Hardware Hacking Village, you see people like learning to solder. It's like, hey, look, this thing broke. Here you go. It's free. Just figure it out. And just and they get all excited. And it's awesome to see that. So
that's cool. Have you ever done a panel at Hacker at the Hardware Hacking Village, or thought about doing something like that? Where you help people with, you guys are probably the top of the chain when it comes to badge life, giving advice and doing this sort of thing more, but maybe more on a DEF CON badge life kind of scale.
We had I think we did a talk 2 years ago at the Car Hacking Village.
Okay.
And we did something at there's a badge village that same year we did a small something at, but no, we haven't really done panels at DEF CON. I did one at CypherCon a few years ago, but that's about it. So, and we've done Hackaday and things like that. We've done talks, but no panels.
So what are your favorite villages? You mentioned Car Hacking Village. It's actually surprising that you guys are all at Car Hacking Village.
Well, we've partnered with them in the past to get kind of like table space, and they've been very generous to. I mean, even Troy, you guys helped us out years ago. Like, hey, like you need like the corner of this table to help, flash new firmware. Like, feel free. So it's just kind of making partnerships and having fun with it.
Yeah, shout out to Garrett on that one in the Hacker House group. They're very
definitely.
Those guys are amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah, look for the table with
he's great.
People surrounding it, and that's where we'll be.
True. It's funny. I think you almost got mobbed one year. I remember like people were tweeting, "Here they are," and we're like, "Oh no, here it comes!" And you have to run interference in line and become a bouncer for a few minutes. Exciting times. So you mentioned CypherCon. Have you have you guys looked at the Lost badge, so the DEF CON badge, the tape, and have you looked at that at all?
I started about a week ago. It was kind of fun. Actually, also looking forward to tearing down the cassette tape to USB adapter that I think probably like thousands of people bought off of Amazon, and it's the cheapest piece of junk ever, and it mounts as a microphone in your computer. So we got one of those, and then ripped the tape into 2 FLAC tracks, and started digging through all the special sounds and noises and demodulating some of the signals that you find mixed in on there. So it's cool.
That's cool. I haven't actually opened mine yet. So I open it and I look at it, and then there's so many things you could do with it at that point. Like kick it into a WAV file and decode it. But like you guys, I don't have nearly as much going on, I think, as you do relative to badges and things. But yeah, it's going to be yet another project. And
yeah, it's definitely worth like you said, you have an RF background. I'm sure you'd love just your ears start picking up the signals in the background, and if you load it into like Audacity or something, you start seeing the wave patterns and whatnot. Like that's not normal. That shouldn't be there. And it's kind of like an ice cream code of, well, now I got to pull that signal out. Now I got to identify it, demodulate it, see what the hell it is. So it's fun. And that's the kind of fun we hope others have, like when you work on hardware or work on any kind of challenges. It gives you some entertainment and learning.
Yeah, and it even that it's made by Lost Boy. I remember years back when he was first doing challenge coins and all of that, and I know that some of the puzzles that he had were just incredibly elaborate. So I think it's pretty cool that this year it's kind of the same thing. And what's kind of cool for me personally is that it justifies all the tape players that I've bought at secondhand stores. How'd you get on the path at the beginning of this?
Oh
How'd you
man,
meet Matt Damon?
Ooh. Well, that goes even further back.
That's a good question. So I was at DEF CON 23, and badges were starting to get a little bit crazy, and I saw these people with all these different unique badges, and there weren't that many. And being a software guy, I was like, I want to learn how to do that. Watched our friend who's not here, 8-Bit. He made a badge for the Crypto Privacy Village, and basically I went from zero to making my own PCBs and firmware in less than a year. And that was our vendor badge, which got us mobbed and convinced us, hey, we should come back next year. That project was funny because I had like $5,000 down on my credit card to make the project work. I had to apologize to my wife. Like, I think we'll make this money back. I think it's going to happen, and it did. So then she let me do it again, and here we are. So that's how I got in the path.
So yeah, it's basically been the slow progression of just like going from oh, we're going to do through hole everything on all of these boards, and we're going to make 120 at the time, which was like a lot. But then when you go to solder on through hole LCD screens with tilt sensor and like what was it, 6 through hole buttons, through hole LED, like everything was through hole, and your thumbs are just like bleeding, just pressing everything through it, soldering. That was basically the whole purpose of the solder party. Like, oh, we have to go and solder for 3 days straight and just drink in our buddy's garage, in 8-Bit's garage, and just get everything done. And then year after year, it's like, okay, no more through hole. And then the next year, like, okay, no more of this. Next year, no more SD cards, no more.
No more SD cards.
SD cards is probably our most painful.
SD cards?
Oh. They're made by the devil.
Oh, let us name the ways. So many bad things.
Stands for shitty disk.
It turns out that SD cards are easily counterfeit. So we ended up with a huge batch of counterfeit SD cards. and we were writing to it so much that we really caused them to get corrupted pretty easily. And that caused, and the badge relied upon the SD card working well all the time. And so that didn't work. So this is our second badge since the infamous SD cards. No SD cards. Well, probably, and I think next year we're not going to do it either.
Nice. But you like LCD screens, right? We're not; those aren't going away anytime soon, are they?
Last year we just had an LED matrix with the light types that went over it, and that was fun, right? Having all those LEDs and doing some interesting things. This year, to make up for the lack of LCD screen doing it too, the OLED screen on the left and the TFT screen on the right.
Nice.
Oh shoot! Crap phone just joined.
Oh, how's it going?
How's it going, man? Oh,
good.
There it is.
You are being recorded.
It's all right. What's happening? I like your setup there.
Thanks. Oh, we're recording right now?
Yep.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be edited. They're
Yeah,
gonna really make
shut
good
up.
editors. We were just talking about the solder parties and how they used to be through hole and now they're not through hole and there's no more SD cards and so now if I came to your solder party, like, do you now, like, is the skill set like ninja compared to back then? Do you now have to like solder 0201s and bring your own hot plate? And what kind of party is it?
Actually, that's a good point. One year, Zapp had bought a toaster oven and like did the whole conversion into into a reflow. It actually worked quite well. I mean,
Literally
right?
was talking about that at work today, and
Yeah.
how much of a pain that can be.
It
Nice.
worked for what we needed. It did its job, but I think our goal, like each year, is to just have fun and still, meet up and have our kind of like last hoorah before the con, get everything sent out and try to minimize the pain as far as labor goes. But we're finding a happy medium. So
I think that captures it best. I would say that badge design is driven by laziness and efficiency on our part. So I had no idea at the SD cards that a lot of them were counterfeit, but I do remember us getting into some process quality control issues from when you unpackage all the SD cards in an environment where people are sleep deprived, probably have been, under under the influence for a set amount of hours, flashing a card and then stacking them into a pile. And then all of a sudden the piles became mixed, and then we had no idea which cards were flashed and which ones were not, and which ones were packages with badges. So I would say a lot of the badge design probably flows from us being lazy and wanting to have fun and hang out without all the other intermediate steps that are just painful.
And
I mean, there's definitely a design for manufacturability and assembly that goes in mind. Like early on, we start thinking about what are we going to be doing to put this together. And, I'm not going to sugarcoat this because we're all adamant about our love for very good craft beer. And we get together for 3 or 4 days and indulge in a lot of really nice craft beer while soldering, while assembling stuff, and we know there's going to be mistakes. So you have kind of this micro assembly line of functions where someone performs something, hands it off to the next person, and we kind of set it up in that way so that if something's bad, the next 2 or 3 groups down the line will catch it. That being said, calling ourselves out now, I mean, I think we've given out half our batch thus far, and we've had some tweets and some DMs where like, oh, we forgot to put screens on that one.
well,
yeah, one badge had no screens at all.
Like, I don't know how the hell we missed putting 2 screens on, but we did.
we do have an excuse because part of the team couldn't make the solder party because of COVID.
That's true.
So you said that you have people down the line. Well, you had 2 people down the line that didn't exist this year.
Yep.
Yeah, but we had to drink the same amount of beer to make up for it. So
That's
Exactly.
true. We were just down the line in spirit, somewhere far, far away.
yeah, I mean, not to dwell on the whole COVID impact we were talking about earlier, but that was definitely something that affected us this year because only the few of us that live in California were able to meet up. And we essentially like self quarantined in a bubble indoors for a few weeks to go, okay, I'm not
Got
contagious.
tested twice.
I'm not sick. Yeah, I went out and tested, and then socially distant in a garage and a driveway, all messed up and like staying away from each other. Like, here, go solder that.
Yep.
So it was a little strange, but we made the best of it.
And maybe we can touch on that. I guess most everybody now is working from home. I guess is that working out? Right. I mean, I'm a hardware guy, so I'm not software, so I don't get to stay home all the time. For hardware, I usually go into the shop pretty often. But is most everybody set up at home now and working at home, or do you still have central shops you go to?
I'd say a little bit of both with my team. I mean, I spend more time Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, in a combination of Microsoft Office and software. I don't deal with hardware on my day job, really. So hardware is my five. I call it my 5 to 9 love, and 9 to 5 is Office products and code. So those just kind of stay separate. But yeah, I've been working from home. It works.
Yeah. All right. It is what it is. It's nice to know that you still had the party though. Like you were able to get together as a group and work on the badge, even with all this going on.
That did help feel normal a little bit this last weekend.
Yeah.
We'll do our yearly activity.
Yeah.
I'm as lucky as I I do the Microsoft product today. I don't get to do software. So this is the outlet.
Yeah. It's great. The outlet's the hobby, the fun stuff.
Yeah, it's weird to say because like normally we have this. It's like this build up. Like we get together, we do the solder party, we package everything up, we ship it off, and then we fill a couple of Pelican cases with badges that we're just going to give away for free at DEF CON. And it's like building anticipation because it's like, hey, I'm about to go to Vegas for like a week and a half, couple weeks. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And that pseudo depressing part hits you like, well, this is it. That was my con. So at least I can come home and experience some of the talks and some of the CTFs going on virtually, which is nice. But yeah.
But it's kind of weird this year too. It'll be interesting because like usually we all leave, we go away, we do our thing at the con, and we come back. This year that it's virtual, I mean, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm probably going to lock myself in the garage for the weekend and just, go to all these different talks and all these different CTFs. It's going to be different. I guess, what are some of the things you miss about, I guess, what's the thing about being in Vegas for the con that you guys miss the most?
Because what goes on there stays there.
Oh, I was going to say everyone yelled at once and see if we yelled the same thing.
I like that.
Okay, so I'm saying this as an extreme introvert, but I miss the people.
Yeah.
Right? There won't be a lobby con. There won't be random encounters at midnight in the casino. Right? You won't run into somebody at a restaurant. Yeah, DEF CON has a Discord set up, and they're going to show the talks, and there's going to be some chatting in there. But chatting in a chat room is not the same thing.
No.
It'll be different. I think some of my local folks they've got a small community built up around watching some of the talks. I might join that and hang with them.
Yeah, you're hitting on it. It's like there is this weird social experience and what's acceptable at DEF CON, even though like a couple years ago we're at Caesar's Palace, where it was completely acceptable to go around the corner and someone's just soldering on like a marble pillar and putting some weird shit together, and you're like, what's that? I want to learn. Hey, I'll buy you a beer. Let's talk about this. Can I work on this with you? And you miss out on those weird just spontaneous moment experiences. Like the talks are great, but I usually watch a lot of the talks like on YouTube when I'm coding or doing stuff.
Yeah.
I really enjoy going to the villages to meet people and actually work on things hands on and learning stuff and getting ramen every day.
Ooh, yeah.
Come on, the ramen. I don't know why, it's 106 degrees, and the best part about eating is I go buy like $8 ramen, hot ramen every day.
Yeah, like on the whole like social aspect, there's you obviously meet so many people. I'm horrible with names, but like I can like walk up and be like, I remember, like I've seen you every year. We've gotten drinks together. We've gone and gotten dinner, like whatever, and it's so fun seeing the same crowd, meeting new people every time. Meeting you guys, Troy, and yeah, that's great. And you definitely won't get that this year. And obviously, DEF CON's doing their best to kind of keep everyone together and keep that community going. And so you just gotta take it as it is and just have fun with it.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah, I
with
thought
that.
it was interesting that so Discord, right? I think all of us use Discord. I think it's a great platform to do this sort of thing on. It's interesting that that was the one that was picked, and I feel like it'll make it even more popular than it already was. Like some people I've talked to are like, I've never been on Discord. I don't know how to use it, and I'm like, oh yeah, you got to check out Discord. And I feel like now after this con, they'll just stay on there. I mean, I feel like maybe this con just won't go away. I don't know if the server is going to go down or what, or stay up because, yeah, it's been a lot of time.
It could definitely linger on throughout the year, leading up to the next DEF CON when it's not canceled.
Yeah.
Or it'll just be DC, 28 is the DC that just never dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DC2X. I guess it'd be
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what that number would be. We were talking about our hobbies, and so I'm a wireless guy by trade. So I'm actually talking this year. I never talk when I go to DEF CON. I'm usually working both at Hacker Warehouse, and then also I was in the lock and access control market before I switched into a full-time wireless role. So this is my first time actually talking at a village. So I have a talk at IoT Village, basically around February or March, when everyone started talking about the coronavirus and what was happening with it. I remembered that at Hacker Warehouse a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half, we did a talk about POCSAG pager decoding. And, that's been around like 20 years, right? Like, it was like DEF CON 6, they did POCSAG pager decoding. And I remembered that, hey, we saw a whole lot of health and hospital related information during that show and during that time that we were doing that. And I started thinking, okay, so if this virus is going to impact the US, how will it affect our hospitals? So basically, I just tuned in to pager transmissions in my area and basically found that some of the systems that hospitals use and always have used for 20 years have now adopted and adapted to COVID. And unfortunately, you can still see a whole lot of plain text data.
Yeah.
So the talk is called Pandemic in Plain Text. And I had it run for 50 days and collected a whole lot of information. And so I'll be going over some of that and some of the things that if you just plug in an SDR and just turn it on, you can basically see all this stuff. And from that stuff, you can gather, unfortunately, you can see results probably before the other people see it. Like you can see results live streamed.
Wow. When you say that they've transformed for COVID, do you mean in the sense of like the way, like their communication because of, they aren't face to face now, or what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So early on, probably around March, you would see new patient, here's their information. And at the end, it would say, did you ask them the COVID questions? Or yes, I asked them the COVID questions. Then you started seeing one-liners where it was like COVID questions complete. And then you started seeing COVID negative, COVID positive, PPE, and they started adding new PPE parts on there where, hey, make sure you're in full PPE or you're in droplet only PPE. And then you started seeing that whole conversation of data just turn to only COVID stuff. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, definitely. It's interesting you bring that up. You and I should sync up offline. I was doing similar. And I started seeing a lot of the same stuff. 931 megahertz is an active channel. And it's surprising. I mean, if you look at the type of message traffic once it's demodulated, decoded, and everything, I think the general staff doesn't know that it's happening. They're using, like you can kind of tell, they're using instant messaging systems, and as a fail-safe, they're piping everything to POCSAG in case everything goes down. Unfortunately, what it probably takes a few times is shooting a nice email over to HIPAA and letting them know, like, hey, they're doing this, and they're aware that they can't even send this kind of information in a text message. But there's
question.
POCSAG, which will go even like hundreds of miles if you have enough power on there. And
I've got a question about that. Is it actually the data they're sending, is it actually like the name of the
yes.
doctor?
Yes.
Okay, then
Oh,
yes.
boy.
Yeah.
HIPAA violations all over.
Actually,
Oh boy.
If it was anonymous, then it wouldn't really matter. But
right. I put together a slide last night. It's first name, last name, middle name most of the time, gender, age, doctor's name. Sometimes it just says department, but most of the time doctor's name, then diagnosis, and PPE. That's one type of system. There's about 2 or 3 or 4 different systems that just personally I categorized. But yeah, those towers they rebroadcast. So I was reaching hundreds of miles away.
That's
Oh
crazy.
man.
Do you have a
Unreal.
slide? Do you have a slide that shows like what information you were able to intercept, and then next to it the HIPAA guidelines on what we consider electronically protected electronic information, and there's like check mark. Can see each of those.
Now I do.
You should make a bingo card out of it.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
The HIPAA bingo card.
Oh boy.
For your
Yeah, but anyway,
SoCal, right?
that's the talk within IoT Village. I think it's going to be Friday at 5:30. So
Cool. I look forward to it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting too, also, when we could go to restaurants, and you get those little pucks that vibrate when your food's ready.
Yeah.
Those also operate on 435 megahertz and talk via POCSAG.
Oh yeah, nice.
That is how, and depending on the message sent to the address, that's what causes them to vibrate.
Interesting. Yeah, I dug up the picture of the POGSAC decoder that Cult of the Dead Cow did in 1997, and put that in there. That this has been around 20 years. It's not really one hospital or the other. It's all of them. They're still using this stuff. Yeah.
I wonder if you could start a company that literally just trolls hospitals for HIPAA violations for class action lawsuits.
it probably exists.
It's got it.
Seriously,
I
honestly.
mean, if there's a way to make money in the United States, someone is doing it.
Fair enough.
Is that Bullet?
Mhm.
I mean,
Fancy, you got to send some of that to me. I'm out.
A bullet
This
rye.
is why we have.
I'm also
seen-
drinking Bullet too. So
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, nice. You know?
Maybe we talk about the making of the new badge. Is that's on the table, right?
Oh, yeah, this, I don't have. That guy?
That guy.
Yeah. Is that the wood one?
That's the wood one. One of a kind.
Yeah. It's hard to tell.
Well, it's the bright one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's hard to show on a camera when things are reflective.
Fancy, did you get yours yet?
I did.
Oh, I'm the only one that doesn't have his yet.
Miss Fancy's actually over there having a ball with it at the moment. It's like a rave in our place.
I got a prototype here. I can pretend.
How about now? I turned down brightness all the way, and it's still a.
That's so cool. Is that the goal one? I saw the goal one online. Or is there one goal? Like we'll talk about this. But
Can't really see it. This is one of the prototypes that Zapp gave me to take home.
Oh, you got the clear solder mask one.
Zapp, will this prototype turn on? There's a lot of wires sticking out of it.
The reason it's
Oh, that's right. We switched to AAA's. Oh.
alkaline or fuck out.
No, I gotta find a USB Type C cable.
What do you roll on micro?
so the logo for the new badge, like, is there one of you that creates the logo and the artwork, or is that a friend, or do you all get together and say, hey, let's do this or that? Like, how's that come to fruition?
It's first and foremost, credit goes to Doc. Doc is the artist that supports and not XOR. He worked. This is the second project he's worked on with us, and he's amazing. We've definitely tried doing art in the past, but it's not our forte.
Yeah, Hiron and I tried it one year, and we both looked at it and we're like, yeah, this looks great. And then we reached out to Doc, and he's like, hey, I threw something together while I was half drunk in 15 minutes. We looked at it, it was like 1,000 times better. Like, okay, let's just never try this again.
Yeah, so Doc is amazing. He's awesome, and he does a lot of the art for the packet capture village, like some of the shirts and the banners and everything that they do there. It's awesome, and I don't know. It kind of gets refined over time. Like I think this year we were at DerbyCon. We were enjoying our time at DerbyCon, and we functionally knew what we wanted to do with the badge. But I think around September, October, we were really trying to refine like what does it look like, and what's the theme, and what are we going with. And we were starting to like scratch out little drawings and stuff. And we talked with Doc for a bit, and same thing, like 15 minutes later he comes back with, hey guys, how about this? And you're blown away by the work of a real artist when they can jump on it.
Yeah, the whole idea with the head was Doc had two concepts of one was like an old robot and one was like an old organic head. And Zapp and I were looking at that stuff really drunk on like a Wednesday night or something. And we were like, what if we just combine those two together? And so then that's how we got the split, half organic look and half robotic look was from that.
Yeah.
And then the whole idea for the two screens, I think it was just like Zapp wanted two screens. That was like the only requirement. And so we've had to figure out how to make two screens work.
Whiskey?
Whiskey?
Hiron and I at DerbyCon kind of just sketched something out on the hotel. Like we were sharing a hotel room, and like on the hotel sketch pad right next to the phone, it's like, what if we did two screens and they're offset, like no art around it, and we just some ugly squares and things, and Doc just threw this together. At that time, I was also starting to look at BlackBerry keyboards. So it had, and by I think October, I'd bought 800 keyboards. So we had to make it work.
Yeah.
Did you bought the rest of the BlackBerry keyboards in the earth?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. BlackBerry Q10. Some of these were taken out of phones. You can tell they still have some of the adhesive.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But yeah,
cool.
I think
We're upcycling them
to the art though, like just from picking the peripherals, you can imagine like you're picking like PCB peripherals and where are they going to go, and you're wanting to place them so that it artistically works with the whole design that's going on there. But then poor Zapp has to deal with, and how do I run traces and make this actually work and not catch on fire? And I think Doc's really great at working with us and helping that layout. Like some folks may not be able to tell or haven't picked up on the fact yet. Like if you look at it, this guy is wearing the keyboard kind of like you can see the straps on the front that are holding the keyboard into place on front of him. So he's kind of got like his cyber deck hanging on front of him.
Yeah, so the keyboard is the badge's badge.
Yeah. So he's wearing the keyboard while you wear him. Him or her, don't matter. He's generic person.
He's transcended beyond cyborg land.
Well, it's cool when you showed the keyboard there. Can you kind of give an overview? So you got the two screens.
We got two screens. We got this LED eyebrows, LED mouth going across, and as a badge, he wears a BlackBerry Q10 keyboard.
You got a badge on a badge.
Say that again?
So you have a badge on a badge.
Yeah, it's like an exhibit meme.
And if you kind of look at the side, I know this is weird to bring up, but it's like the bottom layer, you have FR4, then you have this acrylic spacer to kind of lift the faceplate off the board so it can be flush. And then the top layer is the mirrored acrylic where we kind of put the screens in. So that allowed us to kind of dip into mechanical engineering in addition to EE and whatnot.
Nice.
And my God, you try to pick different faceplates. We were working with Pinoco on that, and they have a bunch of different samples of materials they can get. And we went through a bunch of weird material types. Like first we picked aluminum. We thought it was cool, but you'd be surprised how much a giant chunk of aluminum does weigh. And when we shipped it, it would warp. We went with wood, but he looked more like a little tiki guy. And it smelled like you burnt the house down.
Are there
and the LEDs didn't shine through it as well.
Right.
So are they all acrylic, or do you have different colors for, or different materials?
So they're all acrylic. They're all mirrored acrylic. And these are really expensive. They really blew our BOM cost up, but it became the center point of the badge. If you look though, where the LEDs sit, that's solid. It's just area engraved by the laser from the back. This is actually one of the faceplates I just got today. So the LEDs shine through. So when you're looking at the badge itself, this is all completely flat. So in some ways, I guess it's COVID proof.
Well, the reasoning we kind of wanted to go with a acrylic top is to prevent other things from shorting into the badge.
Yeah, normally people are wearing all sorts of badges around their neck, and they're just bouncing around against each other. And that's where you have failures with SD cards and shorts.
Or parts flying off.
Yeah, so this is to protect. Everything is sandwiched underneath this faceplate.
Yeah, like what was it? The only thing on the back is the batteries, right? And the switch.
The battery and the spy flat.
Yeah.
It's
and another kind of cool effect that is, since this is mirrored and you have the frosted acrylic, you get this like I wanted to say total internal reflection. It's not totally internal, but you get this diffraction of the light and it reflects along the internals. So a lot of the colors bleed over and spread a lot nicer. So it's not just fused to a certain point, but that way the etchings, like the artwork just pops and lights up on the entire badge without having to have LEDs everywhere.
That's pretty incredible. Which one of you is the mechanical engineer?
None.
None?
I think Zapp did most of that work.
Awesome. It was a lot of trial and error on the 3D printer.
Yeah.
Wait 6 hours to print out a new faceplate, test some things out, go back to Inkscape and just back and forth until we finally got it right. If a mechanical engineer looked at this, they would laugh and make fun of me, but it works. And we mass produced a bunch of these, so it's a fun project.
Yeah. And there was other, I thought I saw online, did I see like a gold one and then maybe a wooden one?
Yeah, so there's the gold ones, we did roughly half gold, half silver.
Gold one?
Out first to our philanthropist. That's actually what Hiron's got there. Bender's got one. I think Fancy's got one as well.
There's the wood.
The gold. Oh, that's wood. The wood one was actually a test run. So originally, if you look at on Bender's screen, the mouth is open. Right
Yeah.
now it's not open to let the LEDs shine through. We're thinking about, hey, it'd be really cool to have some special wood ones. So there's some one-off tests. That's what vendors got. That's actually what my badge has. It's my production badge, but with a test wood faceplate. Mine, I think, is like a light bamboo. Vendors in the dark. We tried leather. We tried matte acrylic. Any acrylic that's etched from the front is a total pain to assemble. You have to scratch off the backing and all the little nooks and crannies of the art. So the mirrored acrylic actually helped with our assembly because it was simply a matter of just peeling off the back and peeling off the front because the etching is all from the back. I don't care about the back.
That's crazy. So as far as badges go, we were talking about some of the badges that have been in the past. Do any of you have kind of some of, in your mind, when you think of DEF CON badges, like, do you have one that you're like, man, I want to make a badge better than that one? Do you have some of your faves?
Anything QueerCon makes?
Yeah. QueerCon definitely sets the bar. They always have some of the best designs, if not always. It's very cool.
Yeah, they're always pushing themselves on new materials, and that, I think, forces us to up the bar a little bit too, as far as let's try something new, trying something we haven't done before. We can put PCBs on a lanyard. I don't think there's any problem with us showing we can do that. But yeah, the QueerCon badge is the one I will buy sight unseen every year.
Yeah.
For
What about
me,
interactive features? Any
the
favorite?
one I want Networks badge from DEF CON 18.
Say that again. I missed it.
The Networks badge from DEF CON 18.
Ooh, yeah.
Tamagotchi that you fought over a Mesh Network.
Vendor's got one.
Yeah, he's got it.
Got it right here. This guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh,
That's a
oh yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. You'd just be sitting in a talk and all of a sudden you start getting attacked and you gotta start defending yourself and build up your points and try to gain some XP and go and attack other people. It was such a cool concept.
It's all about being interactive. And the Easter eggs too. What are some of your favorite Easter eggs that you've seen?
I really enjoy what the Hack for Satan guys do. If you've ever seen their stuff, I mean, they got the theme that they go through, and what I really love about their badges is I'm kind of placating to the stuff I like to do, where I know that I'm gonna have some kind of embedded serial terminal, some kind of maintenance terminal that you have to get into. They tend to hide it well, so you have to start like taking a logic analyzer and poking at the pins, or trying to figure out how do I get access to this. They have minor hardware hacking puzzles with cutting traces and shorting things. A couple of years ago, they did stuff where you had to actually wire a bunch of badges together to unlock and make their seance, make a 5-star. But they're really creative, and I love the types of puzzles and Easter eggs that they put together for those. It's really cool, and I think if people didn't have a background in hardware hacking, it's a good excuse to like go to the hardware hacking village or IoT village. And I always start with this: bring someone a beer if you don't know what you're doing, and say, hey, I know there's something here I want to learn. Can you teach me how to do this? And it's not like it requires years of experience to figure out, but it's a good way to dip your toe in the pond and start going down that path and learning and experiencing what you can do when you start to dig into hardware buses and whatnot. So I enjoy what they do.
I haven't turned this Ninja badge on in years. The battery still works. I don't know if you can see my name. It's Matt Damon.
It's Matt Damon. That explains it. Now we know how it started.
Yeah. I actually have to hold on to the screen. If I let go, it'll just kind of randomly shut off. But I'm glad it still works. So you know it's a good badge.
I found Matt Damon's publicist's contact information. Do you guys want to send him a badge?
Yeah.
Matt Damon himself badge?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Or send him a badge and say, go on Twitter and look for hashtag Matt Damon.
Maybe we should send one to his friends like George Clooney.
Tell him we'll donate to water.org.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. You can.
All right, we're good to go.
You get Matt Damon wearing a Matt Damon badge, wearing a badge.
Oh man, that's what we need in our lives.
But yeah, the Matt Damon theme runs deep. So even our like prototype PCBs are named after characters Matt Damon plays.
Oh,
It was actually so quick backstory on that. 8-bit here. 8-bit and I went to college together. That's how we met. Actually, the original, I think the iPhone 3G came out or something. They were, Apple at the time was just now supporting, or they're going to support images like over SMS. And I think at the time, Team America just came out or something, and they had that whole like Matt Damon kind of funny thing. And I legitimately actually like Matt Damon movies. He's like, I like him as an actor. And we were just joking, like, oh, like, why don't we just spam pictures of Matt Damon, like portrait photos of Matt Damon to each other over SMS, and just like max out, as many photos as we can. Just go back and forth nonstop, not like while we're sitting in class, not paying attention. And so we actually did that. The first photo I've ever sent over text is a picture of Matt Damon. So honestly, it's like nothing to be proud of. But that's what happens. I'm not going to deny it. And here we are. So
that's funny.
Pretty
fun. It's on the keyboards, it's in the text, it's in the firmware. Matt Damon just permeates all the technology.
We just need to. I mean, we're even like looking at like that Cameo company that will like the Cameo website where you can say like, oh, you pay $30 or $40 or $50, and some celebrity will give you some video message. We're like, that would be great if we can get Matt Damon to give us a message. But yeah. Anyways, sorry, a little tangent there.
No, that's awesome. I guess you answered the question. Where did Matt Damon hashtag come from? That's where it started.
That's part of it, yeah.
And then I guess I was asking. So I've kind of seen. I've watched on Twitter. So can you describe like the badges are sent out and then they're kind of being dropped, and then it's a puzzle to find them? Is that it in a nutshell, or is there a lot more to it?
I would say it's a lot less coordinated than that.
Okay.
So they're being sent out to a bunch of cities around the U.S. We're not revealing all the locations because it's up to the individual commanders to decide how they get distributed. So if you saw like Sec Barbie, she's driving from Chicago west, and she's going, hey, I'm here, I'm dropping one, I'm here, I'm dropping one. And people are driving 3 hours each way to go and grab one, and they're getting them. It's really awesome. Others are rewarding people in their local DEF CON groups for good talks or supporting the group or just being a pillar. There's another group here in SoCal, I won't mention who, but they've got challenges that they've built, really complex challenges that people are solving. They're going to give them badges. So in a way, it's crowdsourcing. Normally, it's just our team, and we give them out for certain things. But here, it's like, here, we can't hit everybody, right? We only have so many badges. There's a lot of people who go to DEF CON, but there's certain groups that and certain people around the country we do have good relationships with. Hey, if we gave you 5, if we gave you 10, could you do something cool with that? And they've all agreed to. So it's going to be neat to see what happens out of it and all the creativity, a lot more than just the 6 of us can come up with. And so that's kind of the idea. Not just a mad rush or see how kind of stupid stuff people can do.
I think the best one I saw was on the outskirts of Chicago, and there were messages broadcast over ham giving a general location. And when they got there, the SSID of a Netgear router in Elite was spelled out, how about them apples? And when they got there, there was a badge rubber banded to a router hooked up to a car battery in the middle of the field next to a gas station.
I saw that one. I was like, are they doing it?
I would have never been able to think of something like that. Like,
right?
No, but I love that they're doing that, and it's keep DEF CON weird,
Yeah, it's good too because it's giving people a reason to get out and go find these Easter eggs that are out there, these golden tickets, and do something really fun.
But doing it safely.
Yeah. What comes next? So they all get distributed, and then there's the puzzles, because everything is remote now. Are you going to do kind of a follow-up in a few days or weeks, or is this like the culmination of all the puzzles gets revealed at a certain date, or what should we be on the lookout for?
So there's a lot of different, I'll say, functions on the badge. One of them is a capture the flag. We do have like a my basic editor, so if people want to like do some basic hardware hacking and write their own scripts to play with the hardware, they can do that. But as far as puzzles go, there is an embedded CTF that people can play with the keyboard, or it man in the middles and mirrors the serial bus out. So if you do something connected to your computer, you see it happen on the badge mirrored in real time. But they can play that CTF, get points, enter it on our scoreboard. Website is never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.com.
Nice. That domain was available?
And now we own it. I'll explain for those at Zapp. You should share your screen of that. But yeah, there is basically an embedded text-based adventure, capture the flag, and things are randomly distributed. You find random hacking challenges, and we keep them multidisciplinary. So some are related to cryptography, some are open source intelligence, some are RF and different types of software defined radio things you could do, which we had to link up recordings of different signals that were recorded. But we try to keep those rounded, and there's different flags in there that people have to try to hunt down and solve to get on a leaderboard. We've definitely dropped flags around the internet and worked with other groups to make challenges to put them out there. So there's a lot of different hacker challenges rolled into the CTF that people are kind of competing on, and we have a Slack channel for them to collaborate and learn from one another, share friend codes, whatnot. So from a challenge perspective, that's what's been going on. But what I really like though is Zapp worked tirelessly to get this My Basic interpreter integrated. And everyone's got that weird background of like, hey, when I first learned to code, I learned basic, and in basic you can do normal basic things, but we extended the screens and the SD card and some of the peripherals like our thermistor and other things, so you can control those in basic. And that way you can actually use a little IDE on the badge and write your own code and run programs if you want.
That's
I have
impressive.
a prototype next year's badge about almost an arm's length this way.
That is true.
It's actually the next year's badge is so big, that's why Zapp has a curtain behind him.
Yeah, this is to hide our back.
Yeah. Some industries are 30 years ahead, and on XOR is 1 year ahead of technology, modern technology.
So I would like to recognize though, not all these ideas are ours. I put out on Twitter that the QueerCon guys, and they really inspired us to make a 3-layer badge, as did Digital Templar with his Wisconsin badge. Right, they did it with these 3 layers of acrylic and PCBs and just pulled it off so nicely. We wanted to try to one-up them on that. The QueerCon guys also found some of the standoffs we used. So, this isn't stuff we come up with in vacuum, but we do leverage some of the best ideas we see out there, and something that we take it even further. And so that's what this was. But the hardware this year is a lot simpler than I think it has been in the past, other than the 2 screens. And I think we've seen a much lower failure rate because of that. And it's been fun. I'm glad to be done with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just learning over the years on simplifying hardware and optimizing what is important on a badge.
Yeah, the power system, which no one will ever see, is our most advanced we've made yet. Yeah, it's got, or sorry, crab foam. He actually did this whole power mux. There's a E-fuse and all sorts of cool stuff in there. We'll automatically switch between power or between USB and battery. We've had issues with power supplies almost every year. This year they've been absolutely perfect. It's all hopefully continue that going forward. But yeah, it's rock solid. I'm very proud of it. No one will ever appreciate it other than me.
And the thing about it too is there's nothing to hack on it either. So it's just there so the badge functions correctly all the time, no matter what. And so you won't realize that it's there.
I'm sure the Raspberry Pi Foundation would appreciate it.
Well, the power supply design is open source, so they can use it if they want to.
Yeah, now everyone's going to be looking at the power supply design, where people are going to be, wow, check this out. I'm actually curious what I see that is too. Do you ever make your BOM available, or is it available? Like, how's that worked in the past?
We put it up on Hackaday already.
Hackaday has a partial BOM. Most years, and I was really bad about it, I still need to post our DEF CON 27 stuff to GitHub. We'll post all of our Gerbers, our BOM, maybe some instructions how to assemble it, maybe not, who knows. And then our firmware as well. I need to do that for 27 still. I keep reminding myself to do it and haven't. We'll do that for 28 and see what people do. We've seen a lot of people make our badges before. Yeah. And it's amazing they're able to pull it off.
Any super great tools that you use that everyone else should know about, like your layout wise, or anything that made it easier for you?
I like SVG to Shenzhen. I can't say it right, but it's a plugin for Inkscape that will take your SVG files if you set it up the layers properly, and you'll convert it into KiCad. KiCad. So basically, the artist doc had to give me basically the raw file. I got it looking right in Inkscape, and I just hit go, and out popped all my modules and parts. Dropped those into Inkscape or into KiCad, and off I went. So I just had to make sure the traces were fine and it worked perfectly. And I've done that on several designs now, going back to last year's badge.
That's great. I've never even heard of that. So I'll check that out, look that up. And then I guess the question is, what's next for Andon XOR? Sounds like behind the black curtain there, you already have next year's badge done. I mean, let's.
You just got to print 2,000 of them. That's it.
Are you already giving away numbers?
Oh man.
I know.
Or are we? We don't know.
I don't know. Speaking of numbers, as we're thanking people and bringing up like weird aspects of doing projects like this. We talked earlier about doing drops and giving them away for free. We can't do that without sponsorship and having like philanthropists like back it. And I mean, and we partnered with like Urbane Security and Inspect AR and Pinoco and Penguin. And then we did a really limited pre-sale to try to close the gap on that. And it's really awesome that like between those companies and those individual people, they're willing to front all that so we can turn around and give hundreds of these away for free and send them out on drops. And that's like ultimately our goal is, we don't want people to pay for them really if we could. It's really awesome to just see what kind of challenges people are willing to go through and what kind of like hacker shenanigans and things that they go through in order just to get a badge and have something handed to them. We think that's awesome. And so I'd have to give a shout out to them and a thank to everyone that helps us make this happen, because it's definitely not cheap to make things in mass quantity,
Yeah. No, it's amazing that they support you. It's great that, I think years ago we weren't even talking about sponsors, and now here you are. You've got all these great sponsors, and they're backing you, and the badge has just gotten better and better and better. And it's a piece of artwork. It's rare. I mean, it's a collector's item, and I can see why people are making trips through the country, across the nation to try to get a hold of one. It's really amazing.
Is it out of line to say we're looking for an alcohol sponsor?
Just kind of looking for maybe Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, or the Diageo beverage group. I don't know. I haven't really been thinking about this, but if you're gonna ask,
Yeah. I mean, like I think one obvious thing is like in these weird times, I just everyone stay safe and try to get through this chaotic pandemic and such. But hopefully we get to see everyone next year at DEF CON. That'd be really nice. Glad to see that everyone's kind of adapting and like that adapt overcome, or what is it, some funny quote from I think a Dave Chappelle skit or something, but I just butchered it. But yeah, I think you get the gist.
Stay safe. We'll get through it. Wear a mask. Don't lick doorknobs. If you've ever had the opportunity to dip in the Tuscany pool, you're probably immune to anything, and that's why we're all going.
But Hiron, doorknobs are my favorite, flavor. So
just buy a sack of doorknobs and turn them around.
Brass is antimicrobial, just so you know. Coming from the lock industry, brass. If you're gonna look at doorknob, go brass.
Troy, I just pulled up the Hacker Warehouse YouTube TV or YouTube channel, and it was the first. Well, I guess you guys posted on October 28th, but it was back in 2016 was the first time we interviewed you.
I said 2. That's been 4 years.
Yeah, it's wild looking at us. This is DEF CON 24.
Yeah,
it's just it's pretty funny to go through that interview again.
It's funny. You'll see me and Bitstream just kind of like lingering in the background, going.
All right. Well, hey guys, thanks again from Hacker Warehouse, Bender, Hiron, Zapp, Foam, Fancy. We just appreciate all you do for us, and thanks, and keep doing what you do. We can't wait to see what you come up with next year.
Great talking with you.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us.
All right. See you later.
You can find out more about and.xor and all their projects at andnxor.com. Just look for the links down below. This is Troy from Hacker Warehouse TV signing out. Have fun at DEF CON, and as always, keep it between the laws.